Just starting off as we get into this Florida State game, staff's in a good place. We're all focused in developing the players and preparing for this Florida State game and moving forward with everything buttoned up. And that'll be our focus, is moving straight towards this game. We had a spirited practice yesterday. I was really proud of the kids and the coaches, the way they came out and worked at it. And we're excited. We understand we have a tall task in front of us. First time a Heisman Trophy winner will be coming into the Dome at quarterback there with Jameis Winston. 21-game win streak with Florida State right now. Jimbo Fisher and his coordinators, Charles Kelly, Randy Sanders, and Lawrence Dawsey doing a great job changing things up. There's a reason they've won 21 in a row. Great coaching and great players. So we have a daunting task in front of us, and we're looking forward to it. And with that,
you talked about the focus. How concerned are you that some of that focus has been taken away by all the stuff going on?
No concern now, because it doesn't do us any good to worry about the things that are behind us. It's moving forward, and moving forward is speaking the truth to one another as a team, and putting our mindset and our targeted focus on playing good football and playing with improved techniques every down this week, trying to do a better job from week 1 to week 2 to week 3. It's just our focus, and that's where we are. We're focused on those tasks at hand, and we're fighting the good fight to just to continue to step it up. There are a lot of things we want to put on tape. When we looked at last year's game against Florida State, we came off the field understanding, they're a great team, but also we came off the field saying we were disappointed in these 2 or 3 things that we can control. The way we play and fight with better technique, the way we attack the football and force the ball back against the grain more. Some of those things that we didn't get done are the things that we're targeting as we move forward to this year, to say let's improve in all these areas. And then take that game plan and take it with a ton of vigor and enjoy the process of playing a college football game. And that's really where the focus is.
Hey, Scott. I was curious if you had any injury updates on the host of guys.
Well, yeah, we do. We're going to put that out today. And again, I don't have that right in front of me. We have, we still have about a dozen kids out. Some better than others. Some that we're just, hoping to get going in the next day, the next 2 days. But, injuries are something that, you can't control. All you can control is the way you try to bounce back from them as an individual. And the kids have done a nice job with that, for instance, Ashton Broiled, he's been working diligently. He's in there working his tail off to get back. Same with Brisley, Ivan Foy, and for them it's difficult. For Terrell it's difficult because those are some of the things that become out of their control when they say, well, all you can do is sit in a boot and, you can lift upper body. It's frustrating for them. It's also exciting for the next guy that gets an opportunity to get on the field. And I'm excited for those kids, Austin and AJ and Mitch. And, you feel terrible for the guys that are out, but you feel great about the opportunity for the next guy in. And that's kind of our approach. But we'll have that full report out here actually later today.
Zach. You make a change at offensive coordinator. Why is Tim going to do a better job than George?
Well, I think our staff's going to work extremely hard to find a way to beat Florida State. And I'm excited with the way they've been going about their business, especially yesterday in practice.
George mentioned that he felt blindsided by the move. How accurate of a description is that?
We're looking forward to beating Florida State this week. That's our whole goal, and that's our whole focus.
Nate? So understanding that you are trying to look ahead to Florida State, there's a couple outstanding questions I have about the decision, starting with why taking away George's play calling privileges?
Every decision I've made is my decision. Everything that's on videotape, everything from day one since I've been here to up until this day, is my responsibility. If the defense isn't playing well, that's on me. it's on Coach Shafer. If the offense isn't playing as well as we need them to, that's on Coach Shafer. Kicking game, everything. And I own that. And that's my job, my responsibility. And then it's my responsibility to try to find the best way, in my opinion, to try to move forward and get better. So every decision I've made is in the direction that points towards the best interest of developing our players and becoming a better football team. I'm not going to go backwards and rehash all these things. I don't believe in living life that way. I don't believe in it. I don't believe in it. You move forward, whether you're a family, in the true sense of the word, or whether you're an extended family, which a football team is. It's our responsibility to model the way, and when we haven't modeled the way that we wanted to, then we fix it, and we do a better job. We own it, we're honest with ourselves, and you move forward as a team, as a family, and that's what we've done. And I've been very pleased and proud of the coaches and the players with respect to that. And that's why I continue to say our focus is on improvement and getting to this Florida State game and looking forward to putting a better product on the field.
I think it might be fair to say you were in George's position, at a previous coaching staff.
I'm having a hard time with your questions because I'm not looking forward to going backwards, and I'm not going to do it. So if you want to keep asking them, you can, but I'm done. I've answered them. I feel good about where we're going, and it's not in the best interest of this team to continue to go backwards, so I won't.
Dan?
Coach, as far as this offense, obviously, you have a change of quarterback. You've
Yeah.
run the ball, you've gone away from it a little bit, you have injuries. How do you define where you're going moving forward with the offense right now?
Well, I think in trying to define that, I think it's you try to find the personnel that match up to the things that you think you can try to exploit, against the defense you're going against or the offense that you're preparing for, either side of the ball. I think the most important thing we can do as coaches is number one, let's not ask a kid to do things that don't fit his skill sets. So, even though in an ideal world I'd like to know who my Tom Brady is right now, you know what I mean? That would be an ideal world. The reality is, let's see what these different kids can do at the quarterback position, and say, if you were to say, give me three things, so and so at this position can do well. You start there and say, hey, he can do this, he does this well, and he's pretty good at this. Then you say, what in our scheme fits? If it's not in our scheme, how do we create a scheme that fits to that kid's ability levels? Because now when you get into these positions, when you're dealing with that, whether it's offense or defense, then you make the decisions that fit the who's. Because it's more about, it's like, I've always had a ton of respect for high school coaches because they don't get to pick who's coming into the program. You see what I'm saying? And when you get into a rash of injuries like we have and like everyone has, throughout the course of their seasons and careers, it's ability to adjust to who you have and what they're ready to do. Some of those skill sets are going to be developed in time, especially the visual side of it. A lot of people think about he's fast, he can run, he can flip, regardless of what position. Most of the kids that you recruit, you feel good about. But then can you train their eyes, their vision, to get those abilities that they have to follow? And that's what we're working on now. But I think you have to be careful to put too much on their plate, So what we're trying to do is put together a recipe for, each kid to go in there and say, here's the 6, 7 things that we really want you to work hard at getting good at. And by the way, we probably won't ask you to do these other 6 or 7 things. We'll let this guy do them. And then you go into it that way. No different than as an old defensive guy. You had guys that were nickel type guys, and you had guys that were first down type guys on defense, whether it's up front or linebacker secondary. And I think that's where we have to earn our money. And it's actually been fun, trying to figure out different ways to work well with this change agent without having obviously Terrell in the lineup.
Nico?
Coach, how are you?
Good, Nico. How are you?
Good, thank you. You touched on it earlier. Obviously, a tough challenge in Florida State, but what an opportunity for whoever's under center, all those guys in their first couple of years here, and then get back at the defending national champs.
That's right. I mean, it's what you dream about as a young man playing. A chance to get on the field and play football, and a chance to get on the field and play football against the best team in the country. a team that a lot of people would argue is maybe the best team in the last 10 years, talent-wise, and with the 21-game win streak. So for those kids, I'm excited for them. I just want them to have fun with it. I want them to understand that, as long as they're fighting to get the job done that we've asked them to do, that we'll just continue to, praise them and slap them on the tail if they don't get it done and go to the next play. But it is a very exciting time for those guys. And you can see it in their energy, and you can feel it just with their presence walking into the room. When it's your chance to get in, there's that sense of energy that doesn't come, when you're sitting as a third-string player. So I'm very excited for those young men.
Stephen?
Looking ahead to at least the rest of the season, what kind of a role will George play in recruiting?
The same as he always has. He's one of the best recruiters in the country. And, for me, we're just lucky to have, this whole group of guys that I've been really pleased with their efforts in the recruiting trail. We've tried to really target what the formula is to try to, bring in the best players that would fit into Syracuse University, starting with the type of people they are, their character, the way they go to work, with their football and their schoolwork. So with George, with all the guys on the staff, we're going to continue to keep targeting it the same way we always have, and just try to improve it every week. And that's really what we're doing. We had a lot of phone calls the last 2 nights. We reached out to a lot of kids, and some of the kids that we've been recruiting and some other kids that we found that we're interested in. And I've been pleased. I've been pleased with the response we've gotten from these guys, and I think we're going to be able to put together a good class.
I understand it's a fluid situation moving forward for George, just as him as a professional. But how much concern do you have that in the coaching industry, when a guy goes, sometimes his recruits follow?
We're hashing backwards again. You two need to get together, because I don't want to talk about this, and I'm not going to, because it's not in the best interest of our team. The best interest in our team is to say we're fighting our butts off as a family to get better every single day. Now, I know you guys get paid to look backwards, okay? Well, that's not what we're doing, because that's a waste of time. All right, we've addressed it. I'm done addressing it, and, I really can't say any more.
Jesse?
Coach, it seemed like you guys were able to use Julian and Brandon at corner a lot against Louisville.
Yeah.
Maybe Florida State throws more. So should we expect to see more Corey in the third cornerback role with the team that throws?
No, not necessarily. I think it's a matter of how many repetitions they're getting. You want to do a good job with the play count. Understanding how many plays the kids playing at those positions. No different than a wide receiver, a corner. They're running a lot of yards throughout the course of a game. And you also have to factor in, how many plays a young man's getting in the kicking game too. And to some degree, you can't predict that. It depends how long each drive's going to be and how many kicks you have going into the game. Cover kicks, especially kickoff and punts, which a lot of those kids are a big part of as gunners. So for us, we try to keep tabs on where they are throughout the course of the first quarter, second quarter, and how we want to rotate to keep everybody fresh. But between those two guys, and then Corey Winfield and Antoine Cordy, who's actually been playing real well in practice as well, he's getting better. Those 4 guys have to take the duty of those 2 positions, and then we have to make sure we're doing a good job with that number count throughout the course of the game.
Mark?
Scott, 30 years ago, nobody gave Syracuse a chance against number 1 Nebraska, and obviously they pulled the upset.
Yeah.
Did you talk about that game or show your kids that
Not
game?
so much. These kids, especially this day and age, they don't think that far back or remember those things. But what I did was I took the last 3 weeks in college football and looked at teams that won games that had spreads of 20, 21 points down to 12, 13 points, and just showed it to the kids and said, look, every opportunity you have is a chance to win a game. And the good thing about football is that ball's oblong and it doesn't always bounce the same way every weekend. And if we can control the things we can, why not us? Why not us? And then you look back at some of the games that we won since I've been here, the last few years, games that nobody gave us a chance. 2010 at West Virginia, Louisville a couple years ago, West Virginia here. And you say, why not us? And then you tell your stories, but you don't want to accentuate so much backwards. You don't want to live anything but in the present. And when you look back at some of those games, there are examples of, these guys didn't have a chance and they won. And we've talked, about I was in a game where we were 41-point underdogs, and we ended up winning that game. And so, you want to teach the kids from lessons that you've learned in places you've been in your career, and then move them forward. Because the one common element in all those victories is the teams that upset any given team on Saturday. The same thing happened. They tackled better, they blocked better, they stayed in tune with each play. When you try to play above yourself, that's when you get in trouble. When you try to just play better than you did the last play, each play of the game, that's when I've seen those types of games go your way. And you hope for maybe a ball to ricochet off someone's helmet or something and fall into your hands, and those things have happened in some of the biggest upsets I've been a part of. So that's how we approach it.
Eric?
So to look forward with a new play caller, but also a lot of personnel changes forced by injuries. So what improvements do you need to see from your offense going forward the rest of the year?
Oh, I just want to see us take the game plan and stay consistent with all the efficiencies that we look at. For instance, let's say 1st and 10. Our efficiency rating, what we want to do on 1st and 10 is we want to try to get 4 yards and see how many times we can get 4 yards. And understand that a 4-yard gain is a good football play. On the flip side of it, defensively, we talk the same way at 3 yards or less. When you get into the different down and distances that move into the different territories of the football field, we have our bars that we work on every day, and we say let's increase it in practice and then work hard to increase it during the game. And it's as simple as that, is to try to increase those efficiencies as we get through the game. We look at a lot of things after every game and share them with the players, and then we say these will be the things that we're targeting on a Tuesday practice during this specific period. With the mindset that what you work on the most and you stay consistent with the way you work on it is where you usually see the best improvement. So we've tried to narrow those things down. So obviously for us, we want to be 1st down, 3rd down, and then doing a good job trying to finish drives, obviously in the red zone.
You've talked a lot about how Florida State might be the best team in the last 10 years. How do you start to close the gap between Syracuse and Florida State?
Big picture?
Yeah.
Recruiting. You try to continue to improve your recruiting and your players. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is you try to improve your coaching consistency.
When we spoke in June, you said it might be a long shot John Raymond plays this year. What did you see in the last 4 months and even post-surgery that
yeah. Right. It's a great question, Nate. I'm glad you brought it up because I haven't had a chance to talk on John's behalf that much. John Raymond and his family back home, they did an unbelievable job together as a team, and working hard at his rehab and his mindset towards a very difficult situation. That was a bad knee injury. There's knee injuries. That was a bad one. And when we got the prognosis and we started looking at the time frame, there's always just like Terrell Hunt, 4 to 6 weeks. Well, you never know where that thing's going to be. I'll say this: John's blessed with great genetics. I mean, he does have freakish genetics. I mean, so he went home. We had a plan, and he and his family stayed true to the plan. And when he got back, he just looked great. Now, John always looks great. He's got that big, strong body. He's tight, tight build and that big smile. But after a couple weeks, he was in the weight room working out really well, and Will Hicks was talking with Denny Killington. He's like, man, this guy just seems great. And Denny said, well, it's time to test him. Let's test and see where the percentages are. They do like I think it used to be called Cybex test. It might be called something different, where they test the strength of all the different muscles in the lower legs, and he was off the charts. And his injured leg actually tested higher than his other leg. And that's a testament to work ethic. For me, unfortunately, when I was a young guy too, I had a few knee surgeries, and it was really hard to to get that muscle to bounce back as quick as you wanted to. And he did an unbelievable job with his work ethic, and he stayed true to the program. And he's a great example for the rest of our kids that if you work extremely hard, you might be able to get back quicker than the doctors say. At the end of the day, the doctor's going to say yes or no after they test it and they do all their batteries, but I couldn't be more proud of that work ethic that he put in, you know, because it's not easy. Because it's a lonely feeling when you're not running next to your teammates and you're working out, you know, at a physical therapy lab with people, and, you know, it's harder. It's always harder to work out when you're alone, you know, and rehab when you're alone, which is usually the case with injuries. You know, it's just you and other injured guys, so it's not as inspiring as when you're running sprints or lifting weights with your whole teammate and you're focused in on playing that first game. So, you know, from a maturity point of view, I couldn't be more proud of just the way John attacked that. And it doesn't hurt the fact that he's got great genes. He really does.
You sent him back to Philly for a time?
He went back home and worked out. We had a good schedule. And the Finneys, his family, you know, they worked through tough times together, and great example of, you know, overcoming an adverse situation and triumphing by getting back earlier than what the doctors said the initial, you know, prognosis would be. So really, really proud of that whole deal. Not just John, but his family and the way they went about it.
Stephen?
Tim mentioned on Tuesday that the one thing he really wants to get down is being able to call plays quickly, mastering the verbiage, and just kind of being able to go on the fly. How have you seen him work on that this week, and how much practice can a coach get in on that? You know, in practice compared to an actual game in the booth, you know, play clock's running.
Right. There's nothing that compares play calling to practice other than when you can go live scrimmage with a clock running and that sort of thing, which you can't really do in the middle of the season, obviously. The good news is he's done his whole career. And, you know, he was a great quarterback. I think when he finished playing at Western Michigan, he was 5th in NCAA passing, you know, at the time. So, I mean, he beat me. I think he beat me twice when I was a defensive backs coach. So, and I always had a lot of respect for he and Coach Bill Cubitt at the time, way back at Western Michigan. The one thing about, you know, the quarterbacks that I've been around that have coached either side of the ball is they could, you know, they could make adjustments quickly, and they could make calls because they were always used to going up to the line of scrimmage and doing it. And then his success at, you know, the different schools he's been at where he was calling the plays is, you know, just really high. So it'll never come as fast as any of us want it to as coaches, but I'm confident that whole staff is working diligent to try to get to that point. And I know Tim's really excited about the opportunity.
Last question, Dan.
Coach, you talked about A.J. Long and your excitement with his talent coming in.
Yeah.
What you've seen from him. Now that he's in this unique situation, what can you say about his response, how he looks in practice, and how he's developed himself? I know Tim Lester talked about his efficiency going up a little bit.
Yeah, he's improved, exactly. That would be my initial answer. He's improved his efficiency with you know, everything he's done with his footwork, and we talk a lot about being in phase, meaning you're throwing the ball on time. You know, whether it's completed or not at times in practice isn't the key when you just look at the quarterback position, but is the ball coming out at the right time when the window's opened, and it's an anticipation type situation, something we worked long and hard with Terrell with in the past, you know, 6 to 8 months off season, you know, things that you could work on daily. And he's done a great job with that. The thing you love about him is he just loves to play the game. I mean, he's almost giddy at practice. And that's not just this week because he's getting ready to play. Since he's been here, you know, there's some guys in the room that you're just like, he's fired up. You know, you go out to practice, he's like, let's go, coach. I'm going to embarrass your defense today. You just love that about the kid. So I'm excited for his opportunities. And now we just need to make sure we keep him, you know, keep him under control and keep him focused on the game plan and the things that he has to do to manage the team and the offense as he's running his plays. But I've been really pleased with him, and I'm excited for him, like I mentioned earlier.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, thank you.
See you Saturday at the carry-on.